Hello and welcome to this little bonus video. Now this is from back in the day when we first started thinking about doing a YouTube channel, and I went out to practice with a wee camera and see how I got on, and basically it involved me exploring an old Victorian tip or two. Right, we're now at one of our favourite little tips. We haven't dug this, but we don't think anyone else has either, so we're not going to at the moment. There's always a lot of good stuff tipped up on the surface and a lot of rabbits. Oh, rabbits, De Niro. De Niro likes a rabbit. He started off his career chasing them, then decided that he couldn't actually be bothered. Okay, we're off for an explore. Let's see what we can find. But first things first, and as you can see, the rabbits have been quite busy, so let's go and have a little explore and see what goodies they have delivered. All sorts of junk here. We've found toy cars, we've found bottle toppers, we've found lots and lots of pottery. Oh, and how cool is this? This is, somebody has turned out a little birdie. Oh man, that is actually really nice. And right next to the little birdie, how's that for a pottery sherd? Nothing on the back of it. A bit big to do anything constructive with, but that's really smart, isn't it? Always find pieces of pipe here. The rabbits must really not like smoking. And something else up here. Half a bowl, a bit of a bowl. Oh, quite a big bit of a bowl. That's quite a common pattern. We find a lot of that on the beach at Kirkcaldy, and there it is in a slightly more intact state, without even looking at it. I can see the lettering on it. Thank you, Mr. Rabbit. Scottish Cooperative Wholesale Society, Shield Hall, Essence of Coffee and Chicory. No idea what that would have tasted like. Probably not very nice. This whole slope is covered in these rabbit piles, and they're all worth picking through if you're into that sort of thing, which we very much are. Ridgways, there you are, a piece of pottery from England. Not a very exciting piece of pottery admittedly, but still, they all count. We find a lot of this. I'm never sure if the markings on it are crazing in the surface or a pattern, but it's quite thick. We did quite a chunky vessel back in its day. More rabbity treasure. What have we got here? It's a comparatively recent bottle. The thing with this tip is it covers a lot of age. I mean, they're dumping stuff here probably up until the 80s from the 1900s. We found bits of cod bottle here, we found bits of really old treasure, and we found plastic Fay liquid bottles. So it's a mixed up pile. These are quite nice. These are old sheer lip bottles, probably used for medicines possibly. This one is a bit bent because this tip was all burnt, but we only find the odd bit that shows evidence of it. I like that one, we'll keep that, that's a nice one. I appreciate that for proper bottle diggers this probably counts as cheating, but we don't actually care, we just like finding treasure. Another large pile of debris courtesy of our rabbity friends. There's glass here. Unfortunately that one's broken. There's lots of pottery, that's the old remains of an old teapot. And lots of interesting looking bits and pieces. If you had time to dig here, it's probably quite a rewarding place to dig. Oh, there's a little bottle. Unfortunately broken, but not bad. There's more, sorry about the sniffing, quite old glass. The bones of somebody that definitely didn't make it out of here. Another pattern that we've seen on the beach. So, oh, and it's got a pattern on the outside as well. That's quite nice. And, oh, more treasure. Oh, it's got writing on it. Guy's Tonic. Not had one of those before. Thank you, rabbits. So all the modern bits and pieces with evidence of things much older. We're heading down to the little burn that runs through this site, which is how we first found it. We just found pottery and followed it back to source, which was here. Yeah, I wasn't going to go down there, but look at the stuff lying down there. There's bottles and glass and all sorts coming out of that bank. Now, I'm probably going to go flat on my bottom trying to get down there, so let's give it a go. This could be hilarious. Ah! Made it. Right, let's see what excitement awaits down here. Quite cool. This is the base of the old tip, I guess. You can see there's stuff of lots of different ages here. There is a fairly modern and very plain bottle, but next to that, something older and chunkier and in its day probably more cool. Jam jar with lid, not very old. And underneath that, dunno, end of a hot water bottle, top of a stoneware flagon. Pretty cool, whatever it is. I mean, it's all nice to find anything. If you look in this bank, there is so much stuff. But if I go home covered in mud, I will definitely get shot. Told you that we always find pipe bits down here. There is a nice, very old looking pipe bowl. I'm no expert on dating pipes, but that one looks to me like it's quite old. And when you look up, see interesting things sticking out of the mud. Let's have a wee play here. Not that interesting, half a brick. And over here, pottery. See, that's the sort of thing I like. I love it when it's that easy to find bottles. Not a very old bottle, but still, history. Oh, that's worth researching. Acknowledged the best and purest of something that we don't know, but we will find out. I love this tip. We don't come very often because it would spoil the surprises, but whether it's a bit of a shoe or a tiny little bottle or any other assorted general crap, it is a great place to come and explore. Right, and there's a pipe bulb. On the way to it I saw this, so let's play a game of how likely is that to be intact. Yeah, not very. And there's the little bit of pipe bowl that I was heading for in the first place. That's a nice little bit of spongeware, isn't it? We'll have that for the collection. That wee burn sweeps out so many pieces of pottery when it's in spate. It's really cool. It's just such an interesting place to come and visit. And that looks very much like the stuff that we get at Kirkcaldy. I dare say it was made in a lot of places, but it's nice to see something that is familiar. Something limited, I don't know, London probably, a long way from where it came. I really wish I was wearing my Willies because that all looks quite interesting. There's some amazing pottery in this little burn. It's really quite a good provider of interesting bits and pieces. So let's see what else we can find. When you're on any of the sort of beach combing or tip combing sites, you always get people saying, what is that? Because they're very common. That is actually a cell from a very old battery. You do find a lot of these. When you find one, you usually find hunters. And over there is another very nice wee bottle. As wonky as the first one. Yep, that's another really nice wee bottle. It's still got its cork in it. And what I hope are not some of the original contents. I'll not be opening it to find out, but I will be taking that bottle for the collection because that is a nice wee wonky bottle. Down there, more of that nice blue pottery. This is a good day. I've not been here for months and months, and it's really good that I stopped today. Yeah, might need more than wellies to get in there. We'll wait till the water level drops a bit. But look at the bank over there. That's just, this whole area was just a massive tip. It's really cool. And a clue to where we are. S Sharp's aerated water Sandcar. Now I wouldn't say we were near Sandcar. If you started at Sandcar you'd have an awfully long walk to get to where we are just now. But Sandcar is probably the sort of biggest town-ish. Nope, I still can't quite reach that without risking getting very wet. And if I get very wet for that I would have to go and check out that. And that as well, so no, I'm not driving home with wet feet. This is the other side of the hill, and again I think this is mostly more modern stuff, although there are some bits that look like they might be a bit older. Although I'm not sure, I've never found anything that's definitely old at this side. And there's lots of polythene and general rubbish from a wee community. Like I said, lots of things lying about here that you would not want to stumble into. Like barbed wire, for example. That piece there is what I'm after, but I cannot get to it without falling in, so I am going to have to leave it and concede defeat, or get very wet defeat. From the Lord Nelson Potteries of England, another name to look up. And oh, that's from Booth's Silicon China, England. A nice wee dainty bit of cup, somebody's finest tea set. If that's the shoe, how big was the rest of the ornament? I bet it was really tasteful. Oh, and also down here by the burn we have an unmarked flask, and up here I see another bottle which is also probably unmarked. I keep stopping and seeing bits of pottery. Yeah, it's unmarked. And a screw top, so not interesting in the slightest. Edinburgh, probably. I think I know where that's from. I've got one of them back at home that I might show you a bit later. Oh, that could be quite cool. That is a thing from an old oil lamp, if I can get it. There we go. That's pretty beat up, unfortunately. Still, that's a shame. I would have had that if it wasn't so knackered, but I'll get... we have a finite amount of space in our house and I keep finding stuff, so I'll put that back where I found it. Oh, and there's another little bit of spongeware. That's a nice piece, that, isn't it? That's quite a nice pattern. There's so much stuff in that water that needs investigated. Oh, that's a piece of an old stoneware ink bottle. I have found one of those on the surface here before. It's quite cool. Yeah, you don't really need to dig here. If you give it long enough, the burn will eventually dig a new hole for you. That's a good couple of feet of banking that's gone probably quite recently because it's still there. What can you see in this picture? I can see a piece of transferware and a piece of that red spongeware and a piece of green something that I don't recognise. Not from here anyway. Like I say, I'm not going to go in and get it. It's a bit wet. There's also stuff heading upstream in the little river from where we were. One day I'm going to go and find out where that's all coming from, because it's coming from somewhere. Oh, that is a thing. It's a foot of something. It's a piece of metal with wood inside it. How unexciting is that? I won't tell you how far I just climbed to see what it was. We really like this tip. And that's the tooth. There you are, terrible jokes thrown in for free. Another quite common find that again pops up when people ask what they found are these. Now sometimes you just find the rod in the middle, and sometimes you find the whole thing. But that is part of an old battery. Where you find one, you usually find more, because they were wrapped together in paper, all packaged up to give higher voltages. So, and I'm back with this little chap again. I think I'm actually going to take him home and have a shot at rebuilding his tail, which is nothing on the scale of what professionals do, but an interesting wee experiment. I've got the milliput, so why not give it a shot, see if I can get the tail to match the rest of the bird. Not sure about rebuilding his legs, he might be sitting in a nest by the time I finish with them. And that's it. We will give it a few months before we come back here again, because the rabbits don't work that hard. Lazy little buggers, eh? Right, it's quite windy, so there might be a lot of wind noise on this, but that's it. That's my wee trip to my wee tip. Hope you've enjoyed it and enjoyed some of the finds. Now on to the next wee explore. And if you're wondering why there wasn't more De Niro in that video, well, you saw all the broken glass. Today me and the dog are out exploring a quite well-known tip just to the side of Edinburgh near the airport. So we're going to see what's been left behind by bottle diggers. Right, obviously we're going to go and be looking for bits of bottle and bits of stuff on the surface. Lots of broken glass, so I put De Niro back in the van and now I'm going to go and see what the wombos have left behind for us. This particular area is also quite popular with young gentlemen on motorbikes. I assume they're mostly gentlemen, but they go rattling about here. Eventually this will all get developed, so it won't be here anymore, so why the hell not? Right, this is pretty typical of what diggers leave behind on these sites. Not all diggers obviously, but there's always nice stuff lying about. This is one particular hole, and there's a wee bottle there. And obviously the stuff that's left behind is the stuff that's nae good to them, stuff that they don't want. But that doesn't ever mean that it's not really quite interesting. You do get lots of dogs running about here, so you're always slightly worried. That's why De Niro's back in the van. Bits like this everywhere. There's really, it would take you forever to try and clean this place up. As well as all the stuff they leave behind, it's always quite interesting to see the random bits that you think, oh, what's that? Like that thing down there, which we don't know what it is. Oops. Oh, it's I've got no idea what that is. The theory is in the old days, the 70s, people were in here with JCBs digging it all up. So around the trees, if you couldn't get a JCB in, there might still be some treasure left. A big pile of someone else's discards. Lots of broken stuff, lots of junk that nobody wants. Some of it quite chunky and impressive. That's quite a heavy bottle, I'll have to put it down. Right, this one is another surface thing, but it's broken. But it's James Robertson, St Leonard's, Edinburgh. We've got an intact one of those back at the house that we dug last time we were here. Quite disappointed. The guys that have dug this have not discarded anything cool like inkwells or anything like that. That's a nice wee bottle with a big chip out the top, so that's why that was chucked. You do get a sort of battle of the Somme feel when you look at some of the bits that are left behind them. It's a bit of a mess. It is quite cool here. There's a lot of stuff that you find that you think, oh, that's quite interesting. There's another one of those St Leonard's bottles there, broken unfortunately. A Pioneer Edinburgh cod bottle, also broken. Oh, that's nice. That's a healthy chunk of tile, that, isn't it? That is very cool. If you get a hole that's been recently dug by somebody who is looking for something specific, they often leave some really good stuff behind, so fingers crossed. There's lots of fresh digging happening here. Oh, look at that. That's quite cool. That's a Denby big broken thing, but it's still quite smart. Somebody who knows what they're doing could probably restore that to look quite nice. I don't know what I'm doing, and I've got too many restoration projects as it is, so I'll put that down there. And there's bits here that when we were first starting out we would have loved to have found. They are good old Black Horse Yorkshire Relish. Oh, that was a nice bottle, or it would have been a nice bottle. There's a nice really chunky spongeware bowl. Now you know we like a bit of spongeware. Look at that. It's a bit far gone to be worth taking home for the collection, but that's that would have been a nice bowl. Flippin' heck, the wombos have been very busy in these trees. That brick's not very far from home, just saying. Right, and we have to pause here. Pause here. Pause, sorry. I thought this one might have been in one piece. P. Tedsfield, Edinburgh. Lots of Edinburgh stuff here for some reason, can't think why. These are all intact, so again, if we were into unmarked bottles, we would be taking these home. That's nice, that's a little paste jar. We will take that and clean it up. It looks like it's intact. Cup of tea, anyone? We've done a couple of these where we've taken them and made them into planters, but we don't need any more planters, I don't think. Right, it's yet another broken bottle. That's probably all I'm going to show you today. But again, it's a really interesting one. Boak Brothers, Edinburgh, a name I have not heard of. That is, again, quite a cool wee thing, isn't it? As well as the bottles and the glass I've been showing you, there's some really impressive pottery. We have got a stack of this stuff back home, all sorts of bits and pieces. One day we will make something of it. But again, we don't need any more. Unless it's spongeware, in which case we take it. And another piece of cod bottle. There's all sorts of ages of things here. There's a lot of really, really good treasure. And chunky bits of what was once people's everyday life. And we talked about spongeware earlier. We do like spongeware, but that's just a bit too crazed to be doing anything with, unfortunately. We do like these. That's an old pickle jar or possibly a milk bottle, depending on what you believe. Either way, that one is intact. I think we'll take that home, give it a clean, and it'll go on the Etsy shop. And here's another broken, obviously, cod bottle, but another company, D. Kelly & Co. Limited, Leith. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I appreciate it probably going on a bit, but hey ho, I love it. I love finding stuff lying about. It's always a good way to spend a couple of hours. This is really nice. It's broken, they all are, but the Scottish Central Aerated Water Company, Edinburgh, manufacturing chemists with a thistle as its thing. If that wasn't all chipped and cracked, we would take that and cut it down to make a glass out of it, because that is a beautiful thing, but unfortunately it's broken. That's another quite cool thing. An old Aquaglass ink bottle. Again, I'm not going to say what it is because it obviously is, but then if you're looking for Aquaglass bits and pieces, there are bits lying about that are not broken. Yeah, if you look around the edge of some recent-ish holes, you do find cool things that would have definitely made it home with us not that long ago, things that would have been worth adding to the collection. And there's another piece of nice spongeware, and there's another Aquaglass bottle down there that we're not going to get because then we'd end up getting covered in crud. But we'll have a quick walk round to this side and see what we can see. There's a couple of bottles sticking out in the mud. Sometimes bottle diggers dig these holes, the rain comes along and things that they've missed get unearthed. Oh, that's got writing on it. W. Murphy's Tavu Blacking. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to have that. And here's another little cache left behind by somebody. This is all, is it intact? That's not. That says, that's Hendry's Edinburgh, but that's a nice bottle. Couldn't think for the life of me what you would use it for. Oh, it's got writing on the bottom. Let's have a really exciting few minutes while it says, Sax. I don't know, I'd have to Google that, which I might do once I put the camera down. Whoever dug this hole left some good things behind. Kelly & Co. Leith cod bottle. Guess what? It's broken. It's all broken, but what the hell is that? That looks like, is that an old piggy bank, do you think? Like a bird missing its head with a little slot in its back? That's actually quite cool. Chances of finding the head, of course, are probably zero. Oops, you just missed the comedy moment when this brand new GoPro camera fell out my pocket and down that big hole. I may have done a little squeak of terror. Again, somebody's little cache of things that they've left behind. Some of these bottles are really nice, but like I say, we used to collect them when we first started, and we've still got them all, but we don't really have the space. So we'll leave them here for somebody else to pick up on the way past. This is another quite cool bottle. This one's actually intact, but it's very sick. It would take a lot of cleaning if it ever cleaned at all. But it's a pictorial. Not quite sure what it's got on it there. It's too far gone, which is why it's been left behind. Still, it's a nice, again, it's just a nice thing, isn't it? It's just a nice object, which is what we're after. We're not into expensive, flash, one-of-a-kind bottles. That's just a nice bottle, just a nice object. These little stashes of bottles are all over this place where people have dug them up, and these are not really of any great interest to the collector. They're just plain green bottles. Nice for ornaments. I mean, put a rose in it, it'd look lovely, but there are hundreds of them lying about here, all intact and all not really worth a great deal. Unless you're one of the really ambitious sellers on Etsy where you'll charge a tenner for them. In that case, I'm rich beyond the dreams of avarice. Part of a child. An inkwell that again, we used to collect these and cut them down. They're nice things to have, but we have a finite amount of space, as I keep saying, and as I keep getting told by Beck. So we will leave that where we found it. And there's another intact bottle, a James Dunbar, 14 Maryfield, Edinburgh. It's intact, but it's again quite sick. A lot of the bottles here are quite sort of etched by the soil, so that's why it's been left behind, because it is a nice bottle. And on our whistle stop tour of what's here, more broken cod bottles, which again, if you were of a mind to, you could cut down and make into nice glasses. You do find a lot of these bottles. I wonder how excited the bottle digger got when he found them. Like, if did that come out top first and look broken, or did he think it was intact till the very last second? Oh, and the remains of an old tin sign. They're really good and quite sought after if you can get one that is in slightly better nick than that. Again, I keep showing you stuff that's quite cool, but not really very complete, but I like things like this, chiefly because we sell a lot of these on our Etsy shop. They make amazingly nice vases, and obviously they're not hugely sought after by bottle diggers, but they are sought after as a nice thing to put some flowers in. So after today I'll have a few more of those up on the shop. I am really starting to wish that I brought a bigger bag. Let's look at this selection down here of broken stuff. Lots of broken stuff. I always wonder what sort of percentage of things that you find intact versus percentage of things that you find broken. I really wish when people were dumping this rubbish back in the day they'd been a bit more careful and stacked it up neatly. How's that for a warning? It's a Hendry's Edinburgh bottle, and on the back it says, this bottle is a property of J. Hendry and can neither be bought nor sold, nor picked up in a tip in 100 years time, so put it down. That is a vulcanite bottle stopper from Leach's. I've actually got a bottle at home, a Leach's bottle with no stopper, so there you are, a marriage made in art. This is why I'm not a very good bottle digger. We're not really into the hard work, and if I found something like that, I would spend forever digging to try and find the rest of it. Crouched down in the shell hole. We hope you've enjoyed this video. It's interesting to see stuff. I love watching stuff like this where you see what other people are finding. You've seen two very different tips in this video, and the reason that I don't want anybody to know the location of the other one is I do not want it to end up looking like this one. Oh, there's a lot of the little bits you find are really smart. There you are. The Dumfriesshire Dairy Co. Finest Fresh Cream, Edinburgh. I mean, these things are nice to have even in their broken state. That'd be nice to have in a sort of cabinet of curiosities like the one we've got at home, except ours is now full, so that can stay here as well. Yeah, another bit of proof that there are lots of old things here. There's a really nice remnants of a ginger beer bottle. J. Robertson's York Place, Edinburgh. Another nice bottle, and a thing that is not really worth taking home, but it wasn't that long ago we would absolutely have taken that home and then put it on a shelf and then forgotten about it, and then eventually it would have got thrown out because it's very, very broken. So that is it. Two different trips around two different tips. I had to say that slowly because I kept getting it wrong. Thank you very much for watching, and please like and subscribe and tell that aeroplane that's going over to be quiet.